Okay, let's get started. Episode number 16, Wings Up Weekly, Tennessee Tech Athletics video podcast. We've hit the month of August. We're all hoping, eagerly anticipating, really wanting to see fall sports. So we figured our guests today, looking forward to it. We'll get soccer involved in this conversation. We've got Tennessee Tech head soccer coach Steve Springthorpe on with us. Coach, it's great to see you. How are things?
Things are good. Actually, we're about to get started here in the next couple of days, and the team's reporting. So it's kind of an exciting time. But even as it's exciting, it's a little nervous because, everything that's going around right now country-wise and how are we going to do things. We're still trying to deal with some of that. But there is an excitement in the air. We're looking forward to getting started.
Well, glad you kind of touched on that because it's great that we have a fall sports head coach on and you can kind of give us some perspective on what it's like with everything going on, trying to start the season. We just had a few episodes ago, Golden Eagle head volleyball coach Jeanette Waldo on with us. Of course, the announcement with the OVC, a conference-only schedule set to begin September 17th. So how has your club gone about approaching the start of the year?
Well, yeah, 2 weeks ago, we found out that we're going conference only. So September 17th is our first game. So we've kind of quickly been trying to change our thought process a bit. We were supposed to actually come in last week, and now we're coming in this week. So it's not such a long, extended period of time. When you think about September 17th for our first game, that's a long ways off. We're not used to that in soccer. We always come in early August, and we usually have some sort of exhibition match in the first 4 or 5 days, and then another one 4 or 5 days later, and then our first game within about 15 days of our first practice. So it's a little unusual for us to have all this time before we're actually going to compete. So I think we're trying to figure that out a little bit, how we're going to deal with that length, that time span, and how we're going to break practice up. So all the changes, all this is new to us right now. But again, it's an exciting time for us to be able to get started and look forward to that first conference game towards the middle of September.
You just touched on that so much about how this is such a unique time and being a coach, uncharted waters. Normally you would be playing exhibition matches right about now. So as a coaching staff, what sort of adjustments at this point have you had to make in relation to getting going?
Yeah, the first part of it is, never have we come into a season where we've got to do COVID testing, right? And looking at our players coming in and being tested and hopefully that they're all going to be, have a negative test. And so everything that we do from that day one, getting tested, onward is all going to be based on what happens in that testing. How many players do we have for practice? How many days will we have to quarantine or isolate before we get our whole team back? What I imagine happening is, as I told our team the other night, we're hoping that everybody comes back and we're all negative. And that means we can start. We can go on a plan and have an idea of practicing every day, accomplishing what we want up through that first game. But if there's some wrinkle in it, we're going to have to kind of adjust, probably on the fly a little bit. Will we have X number of players, and does it become more skill work because we don't have the whole team available? So there is some planning involved, but at the same time, there has to be a lot of flexibility in what we're going to do. So we've got that first, I'd say, 2 days where we have meetings and we have testing and we have certain things that we always have to do. And then after that, we're just going to have a kind of a plan in place that says, all right, if we can do this, we'll do this. If not, we'll just move in a different direction and do what we can to get ourselves best ready, whether it's conditioning wise or whether it's, playing the game itself. I think there's a lot of things that are going to come into play before that first game on September 17th.
Well, I appreciate the insight right there. And obviously, like we just said, certainly uncharted waters. What's not uncharted waters is your time here at Tennessee Tech, which we just heard some awesome news. going to be extended, your contract extension now to the end of the 2024 season. Coach, obvious congratulations are certainly in order. What was it like hearing that news? I'm sure that had to mean a lot to you.
Yeah, I'm so appreciative of our administration and their belief in me and belief in our staff, and giving us an opportunity to stay here for a longer period of time and keep working towards our goals that we had set years ago when we came here, to try to win a conference championship and build a great program and a sustainable program, and both success in the classroom and success on the field. And I think we've done a pretty decent job of that. We have not reached all our goals, that's for sure, but it's great to have the administration believe in us and extend that opportunity for us to stay here longer. So it's great. It's awesome. And that's kind of what I wanted when I came here. 7 years ago was to try to, put some roots down somewhere, stay for a while. I mean, if you looked at my past history, it was always kind of 4 years here, 5 years there, 5 years there. And so it's kind of nice to be able to have settled down here and be able to make Cookeville and Tennessee Tech my home.
Well, you mentioned success on the field, success in the classroom. You go a little bit deeper into some of the numbers. I know the 3 years in a row, finishing top three in the OVC, the 3 years in a row, 2015 to 17, getting to the OVC tournament semifinals, the strong defense, the second lowest goals against average single season in the history of the OVC in 2017. All of this on-field success, and you look at Tech soccer prior to your arrival, hadn't had a winning year in 9 seasons. What are some of the things that have made you most proud about where your program is and the direction going forward?
Yeah, it's there's many things I think to be proud of as a coach, and first and foremost is being able to take a program that had some struggles in the past and be able to change the direction of that team, and become more successful. And so that's great. That's great for us, and it's great for the university. Things that have come out of that have been a lot of players who've been recognized and have graduated from here, and whether that's graduated with honors or athletic or academic honors, it's pretty awesome to see those players come into an environment, change the environment, because it really is about the players. The players do that. The coaching staff kind of sets some things in motion, but it's players coming in and changing the culture, and putting the time and effort into trying to be successful and to win. And those players that we brought in here early on, or even some of them that we didn't bring in, that were left over from the previous coaching staff, they bought into what we wanted to do, and put a lot of time and effort into it, and had some success. And now as we get into, outside of what we did in 17, we went through 18 and 19, and those years were okay. I think we could have done better. Many different challenges with it, but we always want to be in that position where we were in the Final Four for 3 years in a row. We want to continue to be that type of level team where we're going to be competing for a conference championship every year. So that's the desire, that's the hope. Again, it comes down to players and us as coaches directing that and making some of those future realities happen.
Well, 6 years as the head coach here at Tennessee Tech, and be entering your 7th season. Obviously, a lot of matches, I'm sure, come to mind. There's been some thrilling finishes over the years in OVC play, things like that. I'm sure the Alabama win, first ever win for Tennessee Tech soccer against an SEC program. What match or which matches would jump out to you during your tenure?
I think the one that I always tend to talk about when that question's asked, like, at what point was there this switch, did the light switch come on? And it was the Alabama match. We had gone through an entire season where we weren't very successful our first year, And then even the first couple of games going into the second year, we didn't look great. I don't know that we played all that well. And then Alabama had a chance to come here, and we had a great crowd, and we found a way to win that game. And I think that just created a belief in the team, like the things that we've been working on for the past, what I would say is probably 25 games, was starting to play out. And then from that moment, we started having more success. And then when we got to our conference, we kept that going. We started winning some games, and I think any coach would tell you, once you start winning, there is a belief in yourself. Very much like if you start losing, it becomes almost second nature. You start losing, you get a losing streak, it's hard to get out of it. Well, you want to win, and you want your players to win, you want your team to win. And when you start doing those things, I think more success comes from that. So that was really the first big game. I would also, I guess, look at the first opportunity we had to make the conference tournament in my second year. We had to go to SEMO and play against what I thought was a pretty good side on the road, and we needed to get a result. Just the tie would have got us in the conference tournament, and we came out of there with a tie, and then within a game or two, we ended up being second. But that game was huge for us. That was a moment of, look, we come out here with something in this game. We are going to be in the conference tournament. And so I think that game against SEMO in that second year made a huge impact for our team as well. Probably didn't play great, but we did what we needed to do to get the result that we were looking for. Sometimes in soccer, it's like, just need a tie. It's not always about a win. It's just like, let's just get a tie.
Well, great stuff. And I like you started obviously talking about soccer. This has been the main theme, naturally, of this conversation. I kind of want to hear about how you got involved in soccer. I know you were born in Miami. I think I remember you telling me you lived there till you were 12. You go to Ball Ground, Georgia, a little bit north of Atlanta. Was soccer popular in that area? Like, how did you get involved in the game of soccer?
Yeah, well, I knew nothing about it down in Miami. Now, of course, when you're living in Miami, there's all sorts of different cultures and different types of people there. And soccer was played, of course, down in Miami. But you go to Ball Ground, Georgia, there was no soccer in Ball Ground. It was a small little town, and you played baseball, you played football, you played basketball. And even at the high school level, by the time I started playing soccer, it was my sophomore year in high school. And even then, the soccer team was considered the wimps. You played football, you played basketball, soccer, you're kicking the ball at your feet. It's kind of and you didn't win many friends when you were playing soccer. But of course, the people on the team, we all had the same goal and the same desire and the same love to do it. And so I had the chance my sophomore year to get into a sport that I knew nothing about. And I was lucky to be asked to try out for the team, and just, real quick stories. Like, my high school coach was also the basketball coach at the elementary school for my sister. And we met at the basketball gym when I was playing basketball, just shooting around. And he said, "Hey, you look like a really good athlete. You ever played soccer?" And I'm like, "No, I've never kicked a ball in my life. I had no idea." He's like, "Well, you're such a good athlete here. You could probably play and pick it up really quick. Why don't you come out and play?" And so he invited me out to a little session that weekend. And I said, "Well, what do I do here?" I said, "I've watched it on TV some." I said, "I'd like to be a goalkeeper. I'm good with my hands. I can catch a ball." "No, you don't want to do that." He said, "You're too good of an athlete to be a goalkeeper." And so he's like, "Let's play in the field a little bit." Well, within about 3 or 4 minutes, he realized really quick that was not for me. So he said, "I think we're going to probably make you a goalkeeper," because I was terrible with my feet. It's just awful. So that kind of kicked it off. That first year, I learned a lot about the sport from him, and just reading where you're living in ball ground, you have 4 channels on TV, right? We didn't have cable at that time. And so I would watch the PBS channel with Soccer Made in Germany on it. And it came on like on Wednesday night. So every Wednesday night at 7 o'clock, I was there in front of the TV and I was watching and I was learning. And I would try to read books that were in the library. And so I kind of figured out how to play the game a lot by myself. And then, the next couple of years, I found an opportunity to go play college. And so, and it allowed me to continue to play a sport that I grew very passionate about and found some success at it.
I think it's really cool that you were a goalkeeper. I mean, if you think of the positions across sports, goalkeeper in soccer is a very unique one. What
Yeah.
did you enjoy most about being a goalkeeper? I mean, you kind of told that story, and also what kind of gravitated you to that position?
I just thought it was cool. I mean, in the end, you're watching games and goalkeepers are flying around and leaving the ground and making these great saves, and fans are excited about it. And again, because I knew I couldn't kick a ball to save a life. It really came down to I could catch a ball and I knew I could do that. And so I had an opportunity to play the position, and it just fit me. It fit my personality. It fit what I like to do. And it was something that I could practice pretty easily at, having a friend just kick a ball at me in front of a homemade goal at my house. And I could get better by doing those things. And because of other sports, playing softball and basketball, and there was that hand-eye coordination and stuff that fit well for me.
Well, clearly you took to goalkeeping. You mentioned played in college, Methodist University, Division III school in Fayetteville, North Carolina. And then, Coach, you were a 3-time all-conference player. You ended up playing a little bit professionally, right? I remember you telling me the United States Interregional Soccer League.
Yeah, it was the USISL at the time, and then it became the USL, and so there's in the NAS. There's all sorts of stuff that happened now, but at that point, there was no MLS. MLS didn't exist. There was the NASL, which was the professional sport, and then that kind of went defunct right when I got into college. So there was a period of time for a few years there wasn't any major soccer professional league, and so the USISL was that league. It was kind of the minor leagues. Some teams you didn't get paid, some other teams you did get paid, and so when I graduated college, I had a chance to start playing with a group of guys out of Greensboro, which is a rival area of our school. When I was at Methodist, it was UNC Greensboro was a Division III school, and they won a couple national championships, and we kind of knew a lot of those guys. And so I got an opportunity to come and play amateur soccer with them and helped build that team into the league. So it was called the Greensboro Dynamo. And over the course of a couple years, we went from straight amateur, playing in the amateur championships, playing in the Open Cup, the Amateur Cup. And then we eventually moved into the United States Soccer League, or the USISL. And we won a national championship our first year in that. I played 1 year and had a great experience at it, but my life had changed because, I went from single guy to got married and then had my first kid, and I'm working at Methodist College, and then I'm driving an hour just to go practice and an hour back and an hour back. And so after that first year, it was kind of like, yeah, I think I've had my taste of it, enjoyed it, enjoyed the guys that I played with, had a chance to win a national championship with that team. But then it was time to kind of hang up the boots and go a different direction.
Did you, because I remember, I don't know if you remember this, 5 years ago, we did an article, like an interview, you and I, that was on TTSports.com, and it was also in this magazine that Tennessee Tech Athletics used to have. And I look back at that to kind of help prepare for this podcast. And in there, you told me that you scrimmaged against the U.S. national team. Is that true?
We did.
What was that like?
It was great. It was awesome. Our team had a chance to, it was basically the B team. So at that point in time, it was the national team, and then they would have a B team, and players were coming in and out. And so The full national team would be off, and then the B team players would be playing. And it's very similar to what happens now. Like when you watch our national team play, sometimes they got the full national team, and then other times they're bringing new guys in and they're trying and they're playing some matches, and they're trying to figure out who has a chance to move up. And so we had an opportunity to play what would be the B team. There were some full national team players in it. There were a lot of college guys that were trying to make their way into the national team. And so we had a chance to play them in an exhibition match. And I think it was in Winston-Salem. And so it was great. It was a great experience for me. I had not done that before. And playing at a smaller Division III school, you're not exposed to always the best players. And so now to be on a field with a really good amateur team at the time, and then playing against the national team was a great experience for me. Don't ask me the score. I don't remember the score, to be quite honest with you. I don't think we won, but I do remember coming out of there feeling really good about what I did as the goalkeeper, and I think our team felt good about that exhibition match. We competed pretty well.
Well, that's awesome. And right before then, I know you were kind of talking about your coaching career and at Methodist as an assistant, a team that went to the national championship match while you were there. You then ended up at the University of Florida. And I've always thought this was so cool that while you were a coach at Florida, Abby Wambach was there. I mean, you're talking about one of the best soccer players there is, the U.S. all-time leader in goals scored in international play. What was it like you got to coach her before all of that? What do you remember most about that?
Well, that I made her such a great player.
All you?
Just kidding. Just kidding. I had nothing to do with Abby. I was a goalkeeper coach. I mean, that's what I was brought in for, to train the goalkeepers. She was on the team. I came into the University of Florida. I had stopped coaching for a couple of years. I left Methodist and then went up to Boston and worked for Puma Sporting Goods for 3 years and did soccer promotions and running promotions. And then I was fortunate enough to be asked to get back into coaching at the Division I level with Becky Burley, who's the head coach there and still the head coach there. She started the program back in, I think it was like 94. She won a national championship in 4 years. They played 4 seasons and won a national championship, which was basically unheard of, to be able to do something like that, start from ground zero, recruit, and then win a national championship against the powerhouse of Carolina, who was always winning national championships. And so they had a job opening and asked me to come down and become the second assistant, the goalkeeper coach. Basically, that was my job, as training goalkeepers. And I think we had a good run. We didn't win another national championship, but within a couple years, we went back to the Final Four. We won a couple SEC division championships and conference championships. And of course, Abby was playing at that time. She played 3 years while I was there. Great player, such an unbelievable competitor. At practice, she was competing. She was feared by a lot of teams. Big player, 5'10", played the game at an unbelievable pace and with strength, could score goals with her head. I mean, most of the goals, more than half the goals were scored by her head, heading a ball in off of corners or service. And, I think even while she was at Florida, she was a good player, All-American, all that kind of stuff, up for Player of the Year. But when she left Florida, she got her real first taste of national team kind of things. She was brought in I believe it was her senior year, going into her senior year, where they asked her to go to a camp. She went to the camp and came back and full of fire. It was just like, that's where I want to be. And she, within a really short time after she graduated, she's playing on the national team and scoring goals. And of course, I think anybody that watches and understands the game of soccer has seen the women's game and knows what type of player she was and the impact that she made in women's soccer.
I mean, I still just think that's so cool that you got to see before and then obviously her success afterward. For you, before Tennessee Tech, a couple of head coaching opportunities at Fresno State, a program that went to the conference championship match 4 straight years, won 2 of those. at NC State, playing in arguably the toughest conference in Division I soccer. What, again, are there any matches or moments or something that sticks out to you during those stops?
Yeah, they were all very similar. Those two other coaching opportunities were similar to what was going on here. You know, when I went into Fresno, it was my first head coaching job. I left Florida, went across the country, and went to a program that had not had success for a number of years. And that's how a lot of coaching jobs open, right? Is you know, things don't go well. The coach leaves, a new coach comes in, and so that was I had a chance to go in and try to put my stamp on something and build something. And within, you know, the second year we're winning a conference championship. The first year was very similar to as it was here. You know, we didn't have a lot of success, but we learned a lot. And the players that were in that program did a great job of believing in the coaching staff. And you know, I think about that first year there. Was there a particular game? I don't know about a particular game that kind of started things for us, but I know when we got into our conference championship, we had to play at that time. We had to play 3 straight games. We took 6 teams. The top teams went to the Final Four. You had a play-in game, whatever. You had to play on a Thursday. You had to play on a Friday. And you had to play on a Saturday. And so we were a low seed, a 5th seed or something. And then we had to win 3 straight games to win a conference championship. And so we were able to do that. And that really, from that first year, we kind of got on a really good roll. We had a young team, and they just continued to figure out how to win. I do think that as we went over the next couple of years, like you mentioned, we went 4 years in a row to our conference championship game, and we won a couple of those, 2 of those, and we won a regular season championship. That in our best year, we had a stingy defense, very much like we had here a couple of years ago. You know, we were leading one of the top 2 or 3 teams in the country in goals against average, and we had 16 shutouts, I think, out of a 22 game schedule. We did it by defending, and that year, I actually had a picture that was sent to me by my assistant coach at the time, Thomas Chestnut. He sent me a picture. He was going back through some stuff, and he sent me these pictures, and it was of our game when we went back to the University of Florida, and we took our team to the University of Florida to play them and UCF on a Sunday. And Florida was a perennial, you know, top 25 program, and we beat them on their home field. And I think that game, that was pretty awesome for our school to go into that environment and travel across the country and to win a game against a top level team like that was a big moment for us in Fresno State history. So, and that spurred us on to, you know, another opportunity at winning our conference championship. And so there's little things like that at Fresno. I learned a lot in those first, you know, 5 years of my head coaching career, a lot of ups and downs, but I had great people that I worked with and great assistant coaches, and having some success there afforded me that opportunity to go to NC State, which, as you mentioned, I got thrown into the Lions' den. And to be honest, I probably was not ready for that. We had a couple successful games early on. We beat a ranked Virginia, and that had not happened in years there. And we beat them at home, and we had some great games. We went on the road and we played some top 20 teams, and we beat a Texas, and so, but it wasn't consistent enough, unfortunately, for us. And so that 4 years went by, and changes were happening. And so it was kind of time to move on, and then come here, you know, and as we talked about, you know, that Alabama game was kind of the big feather in our cap at that moment for our program.
And that game, I remember calling that game, and just such a great atmosphere, like you talked about, the lights just coming into Tech Soccer Field and all that, and obviously the win, which, as you indicated, seemed to kind of jumpstart the turnaround for this program. We're going to end our time here on Wings Up Weekly. Appreciate you joining us and talking about your career and tech soccer. Before we go, though, what we've liked to do with a lot of our guests is give them an opportunity to send a message to Golden Eagle fans and supporters during this unique time, kind of going forward. So what would you like to say to those fans and supporters, especially with everything going on as we start your season?
I think the first thing is I'm grateful for the people that have invested their time into our program since I've been here. The amount of fans that come to our games, we're usually leading the conference in attendance, and there's just people that follow our program and invest themselves monetarily as well as time-wise, and coming to support our players. So we're always thankful for those fans and those boosters that support our team. And I think in these times, there's so much uncertainty in life and each individual's life. Are we able to go to work? Do I still have my job? Do I still have the opportunity to do the things that we've always kind of done? And what about my kids? And even for myself, my stepkids and my kids living back in other states right now, it's like, are they going to be okay? I would say this is all going to pass. At some point, it's going to be better. And what I hope for us is our sport, we can move forward here and we can create opportunities for people to kind of get outside the world of the everyday kind of worries and come and watch some soccer, or come and watch a football game, come and watch a volleyball match, and be able to get back to some normalcy in life. And so I want to thank all those supporters out there. I want to thank all the people that are involved in Tennessee Tech athletics and support our programs here. Very much appreciative, and we never want to take you for granted.
Well, so well said. And again, appreciate the time. Congrats on the contract extension. Congrats on the success here at Tennessee Tech. And hopefully, like you said, we can see some Golden Eagles soccer real soon in the future, Coach.
Appreciate it, Dylan. Thanks for the opportunity to speak with you and to say hi to everybody.
Absolutely. Well, that's Tennessee Tech head coach Steve Springthorpe. That's going to do it for another episode here of Wings Up Weekly.